Have a seat on your porcelain throne. It's time to talk some shit on the Powell movement.
Welcome to the Powell movement. I'm your host, Mike Powell, and this week I'm off to the HESTIVAL event in Colorado. So while I want to do a nice long intro because holy shit, we've had another assassination attempt, I'm getting myself ready to get out of the office and I don't have time to dig into the details of this one. But my prediction is, like everything that happens with this administration and this government, there'll be a ton of contradicting information that comes out, there'll be a lot of lies, a lot of grandstanding, and then this terrible event will be used to get this sitting president something that he desperately wants. And now he feels that he absolutely needs a brand new $400 million ballroom that we were all told was going to be privately funded. But that was all a lie. That was never going to be privately funded. And now that our king believes that he's being threatened, he's going to make taxpayers pay for this secure ballroom. What I want taxpayers to pay for is healthcare for people that can't afford it, to feed people that are hungry. Fuck your ballroom. Will you even be in office when this thing is done? Well, that's something to think about too. There's no question that our dude is a narcissist. If you don't think so, there's a few easy examples that we can look at. The Tramp Arch, his face and name on currency, the Tramp Kennedy Center, and the one thing we don't have, which we desperately need, is a Tramp stamp, because that would be as classy as he is. But all the shit that dude feels like he needs to put his name on, and he has for like his whole life, through hotels and everything. He's like, if I put my name on something, it's going to make me bigger and better than everybody else. And it's always been about that for some reason. But I'm not going to get into the psychology of all of this, because honestly, I'm not qualified to do any of that. But when this secure ballroom is done, do you really think this fucking psychopath is going to leave office? He's going to try to do whatever he can to stay in there for another term. And all the people profiting off him? Well, they're going to want to make more money and they're going to lobby to keep him in office. It's all so gross. And like I said, I'm not going to comment on this latest assassination attempt, but I do want to applaud the gentleman who sat there calmly and he never stopped eating his meal. Or how about the woman who did whatever she could to save those bottles of booze from being shot by the gunman? Those are two American patriots and she should be appointed to the liquor cabinet with Cash and Whiskey Pete. But like I said, I'm not going to call this one staged because I haven't looked into the details, as I was too busy driving to and from Portland to watch Victor Wembanyama play basketball. And if you haven't seen Wemby play basketball, well, he's 7'4" and he's the defensive MVP of the league in his third year. He didn't play in his second year because he was hurt, but he can shoot 3-pointers at will. And if he can stay healthy, I believe he's going to be the greatest basketball player of all time. And that'll be really cool because that means we can finally put the argument of LeBron or Michael Jordan to bed. While I always say Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player ever to play, Keaton doesn't even think that's a question. He's like, it's LeBron, period, Dad. Look at the stats. And I don't know. I look at the stats sometimes and I think it's Michael Jordan, but that doesn't matter. If Wemby stays healthy for 15 years, he's going to be the greatest thing to ever play basketball. It really is phenomenal. He'll be looked at as the best, and the Michael and LeBron argument will be put to bed. One thing that there should be no argument about, regardless of what happened at the press dinner, a dinner that the president attended for the first time since being in office, either this term or last term, I believe, which is an odd coincidence. But regardless of that, one thing that we should all be able to agree on is that the first assassination attempt was staged for a photo and to get people to forget that our sitting president was involved with Jeffrey Epstein and most likely a pedophile who's done things so bad that it'll start wars to make people try to forget about them. I mean, when you look back at that one, it's so obvious. The ear, the photo, the Secret Service not shielding him or putting him to the ground. I can't believe I'm talking about this shit again. But really, something absolutely insane happens every day in this country, which has been the case for a long time. Just before, the crazy shit was about school shootings and the opioid epidemic. And now we're covering up pedophilia with war, assassination attempts, ballrooms, arches, renaming buildings, changing currency, and making 1% of the country a lot of money. And what we're forgetting about is the other 99% of American people. That's all I'm going to say right now. Really, I could do another 15 minutes of what's on my mind, but I'm going to save some of that for next week. This week, I'm prepping for camping. And while I'm not religious and I don't believe in God, I was brought up Jewish. And that means that while a lot of my good friends grew up camping and car camping and hiking and finding lakes to swim in, my family went hotel camping and in river pools looking for swim-up bars. We went to resorts and camped in suites, and that was amazing. Oh, the privilege I've had. And while I did do a teen tour with some camping and I went to Woodstock 94 and a couple of other random camping and drinking trips, I wouldn't call myself a camper. But in December, Keaton was like, "Dad, we should go camping." And I thought to myself, first, what are you talking about? It's winter. And second, really, do you want to go out in nature, get bit by bugs, not have power, light, TV, a bar, all the things that we're used to? And then I'd have to go out and buy a whole bunch of shit to make that trip and memory happen? Well, as good as it sounds, it wasn't that high on my list. But then I went to my friend Aaron Ambuske's Christmas party holiday sale for his brand HEST. And if you don't know HEST, they make a camping mattress that is most likely more comfortable than your mattress in your bedroom. When Aaron started the company, I literally laughed at him. He was selling me at the product at an event that we were both at, and I was like, "Ambo, this mattress is amazing. How much does it cost?" And when he told me it was $300, I was like, "Are you kidding me? You don't own this company or anything, right? You're just the engineer of all the product?" And he was like, "Actually, Powell, I do own the company. I went all in on this." And I felt so stupid. I apologized. And really, I was the idiot because out of the gate, HEST was killing it. And the growth hasn't stopped for the past 10 years. And I hope it's made Aaron rich. But anyways, I was at his Christmas party and they had a band, a few hundred people, and a raffle. And the guy who was on the mic, who's a dear friend of mine, he was okay on the mic, but he's not the most comfortable and he's not a professional MC. So I told the marketing manager that she should get me to do it next time. It was 10 minutes that I'd happily do for free. Then I asked her who emceed HESTIVAL because I knew it was their 1,000-person event in Colorado that the brand really hangs their hat on. And MJ, the marketing manager, was like, "We've never hired an MC before. We just have someone do it." And I'll tell you, being at an event without a real MC is a pet peeve of mine. Why spend a ton of money on creating an event and an environment and the one touch point that you know everyone is forced to hear and experience, the MC, is the one thing that you don't think about or invest in? So I told MJ, "Hey, bring Keaton and I, set us up with everything we need to go camping for the weekend, and I'll be your MC for the 3 days, and it will be awesome." And that's what's happening. Keaton and I will check the camping trip off our list. HESTIVAL will get even better by having a professional MC, which really does make a difference. And I'm going to get a podcast out of this. While HESTIVAL won't be chock full of athletes, my plan is to get a few sound bites from any athletes or personalities that are at HESTIVAL. Plus, I'll find Aaron Ambuske, the owner and founder of HEST, and I'll have him tell you about when I insulted him about owning the brand. And that should be a pretty funny story in itself. But that's not enough for a great podcast, right? So, I've also recorded 40 minutes with HEST athlete and Olympic skateboarder Heimana Reynolds, who I had a great conversation with. But before I head to HESTIVAL or chat with Heimana, I want to thank my sponsors who make this podcast happen. They are Elan Skis and Outdoor Research. And now it's time for me to head to Montrose, Colorado and HESTIVAL. So Keaton and I headed to the airport, and the only significant thing that happened that day was a rock hit our windshield on the way to the airport. And when that happened, I told Keaton, that's how cracks in windshields start, and it can be just like a little star thing that a rock puts in your windshield, and then the next thing you know, in a couple months, it's a crack all the way across the whole windshield. But when we checked out the car, we didn't have a star, we didn't have a mark or anything. We parked our car at diecutstickers.com where I work, and you can always order stickers from me if you email me at mike.powell@diecutstickers.com. And then we went to the airport. We traveled to Montrose, Colorado. We checked into our hotel. We had a night there. And then we drove to Hotchkiss, Colorado and Big B's Orchard for the 5th annual HESTIVAL. And I was going to get some sound bites, but really at the end of the day, I only got one sound bite at HESTIVAL, and that was from HEST founder Aaron Ambuske, a guy I've known as being one of the great ski engineers at K2 who helped make some incredible products from like 1998 to the mid-2010s. This dude's a genius engineer, and when I heard him talking about why he created HESTIVAL, I heard him saying that he created it because he doesn't like going to crowded bars, and he wanted to be with friends and family in the mountains drinking beers, and he wanted to create an event around that. And with his brand, he could. And now we have HESTIVAL. And while Aaron is super talented, he's really smart, and he's a great guy, talking on a microphone is not his favorite thing to do. So I gave him no warning, and I sniped him right on the side of the HEST van. I put a microphone in his face, and this is what I got for my one and only interview at HESTIVAL with HEST founder Aaron Ambuske. All right, I'm standing here with Aaron Ambuske. We are looking up at the stage at HESTIVAL. John Craigie is warming up. It's about 4 hours before his set. And Aaron, When I saw you 10 years ago at a mountain bike event in Oregon, we were at a trade show or at an event just like this. Tent city, everybody showing their wares. You had all your mattresses laid out on the ground. I laid down on one of the mattresses and I was like, this thing is so comfortable. How much does it cost, Aaron? You told me $350 and I was like, are you kidding me? You don't own this company, Aaron, do you? And what did you say?
Yes, I own it, and I think it's an amazing idea to help people sleep better outdoors.
So that was 10 years ago, and I had my doubts because of only price point, but you had one product now. How many products does HEST have these days?
We're up to about 50 different products and focused on helping people sleep better outdoors.
50 different products, helping people sleep better outdoors is great, but you had this idea and you acted on it, and within, 2-3 years, you're in REIs all over the country and you're making a difference in the world of outdoors?
Yeah, it's been a pretty amazing journey. It hasn't been easy, but it really has been rewarding in that we are helping people spend more time outside. They're coming back to camping and really able to appreciate what the outdoors brings, which is an amazing experience with friends, family, other people, and being able to disconnect from technology these days.
When I was an asshole and I said, I can't believe you own this company, what was going through your head at that moment? Do you even remember, or was that just so long ago?
Yeah, I've always been in product design, and I call myself a naive optimist, and I was just, from the beginning, optimist that there was an opportunity with my vision to provide more comfort, better sleep to the outdoors, and make it more accessible to our customers. And yeah, I remember that vividly. I remember you laying on it and I told you the price and you're like, yeah, what are you doing? You're crazy. But we've had a vision from the beginning. We really launched with kind of the most exceptional version of what could be a comfortable night outdoors. And since then, we've learned from our customers. We've launched new products that are more accessible price point wise, but still learning each day from our customer on how we can help them enjoy the outside better.
And we're here at HESTIVAL. This is an event that you put on. We're not here to sell mattresses or sell pillows or anything, given you sell them, but you're not here to sell them. You're here to drink beer and have fun and listen to live music. What's the vision behind this event?
Yeah, I think the outdoor industry for a long time was about climbing Everest and being light, fast, and technical, and we really created the HESTIVAL as this incredibly accessible experience. You drive to an orchard, you're with friends, family, you're just camping next to your car, and you're experiencing all these incredible benefits from being outside. And we serve food to our people that come here, we provide entertainment, we just create a high quality weekend that celebrate what we think is most important, and that's just hanging out with your friends outside and spending more time outdoors. And we just really wanted to own that experience.
And own that experience, HEST did. That was Aaron Ambuske, and that was HESTIVAL. And this year, the theme was all about having a great time, and I think that's the theme every year. But this year, with awareness of what's going on with our public lands more important than ever, HEST also made this thing about protecting our public lands. And HEST's 1% of the planet works with the Conservation Alliance and the Western Slope Conservation Alliance, and they both were on site raising money by selling beer and cider and sharing so much information through base camps and at panels and all the different things going on at HESTIVAL. It was awesome. What was also awesome was Keaton and my time there. We met an amazing HEST crew who treated us like kings. Thank you, everyone. We also camped, we hiked, we ate amazing barbecue, and we listened to John Craigie, backed by the Coffis Brothers, the Jeremy Garrett Bluegrass Band featuring Kyle Tuttle, and I can't say we watched that because Keaton wasn't really into the music and maybe he listened to it from the tent, but I definitely watched it, and I will say I crushed my little part on the microphone all weekend long. Keaton and I had a great time, we made some memories, and we made a lot of new friends that I'm going to have trouble remembering their names. But we all had a ton of fun. One crew in particular, the Zip Fit crew, not only rad people, but they blew up a watermelon with 2 tie-down straps, and it was uneventful, but it was also so cool. So that was the short HESTIVAL update from Colorado. Now it's time to get my HEST athlete this week on the podcast, Olympic skateboarder and all-around talented boardsman, Heimana Reynolds. Now, let's go to Heimana.
I'm down in San Diego in Carlsbad right now, and it's blue skies and sunny.
That sounds like Carlsbad, right? It's always like that there, right?
Oh, yeah. I love it.
Nice. Well, thank you for making some time. I usually just jump right into these, and we'll go for probably, I think this will be about 40 minutes.
Okay, cool.
The whole episode will be around like the HESTIVAL event, and then you'll be like the athlete around the HESTIVAL event, but you won't be there, I don't think.
Oh, great. Yeah. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it this time.
Have you been before?
I haven't, but I've been working with MJ and HEST for a few years now, and That's all they can talk about. And every year it's always like, okay, I'm going to go next year. I'm going to go next year. I'm going to go next time. And then this time I was actually planning on it. And then something popped up that I couldn't say no to. So unfortunately, I won't be able to make it.
I'm sure a lot of your life, or there's a lot of things that you really can't say no to. And just saying that, when you think of the once-in-a-lifetime experiences that you've had in your life through all the different things that you've been offered, what's like the most crazy thing that you couldn't say no to? That you're like, holy shit, yeah, I'll get on this private jet, go here and do this.
I mean, there's so many opportunities like that, and I feel like any opportunity is a good opportunity. So as many crazy things as there are, it's hard to pick one. I like to say yes to as many as I can.
So you've been on a ton of private jets?
I mean, not that far. Private jets is I've been on a few, but it's not like the usual for me. But I do like to travel. I like to experience new things, and I like to just be outside as much as I can.
All right. Well, this will kind of tie into you being outside as much as you can, but you come from a place, or you spent a lot of time in a place, Turtle Bay, that's a land of luxurious golf courses and hotels and a lot of stuff that all the visitors of Hawaii really love to have. But your family still has like a slice of land in Turtle Bay. And it's like you guys are the last holdouts of people in Hawaii with land that never sold. And now you have one of the last slices of heaven that's like real Hawaii. Can you describe your property?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of near Turtle Bay. It's on that side of the island, and it's a good chunk of land that's been in my family since the early 1900s. And really, my great-grandfather used to live on that property, and we just kind of handed it down from generation to generation. I feel extremely lucky and blessed that my family kept it in their hands all this time, just because, I mean, I don't know if you've ever been to Hawaii, but it's paradise, but it comes with the price of tourism and people everywhere. And just to be able to have something that I can go and drive my truck on the sand and just hang out and camp underneath the stars without the light leaks of the city and everything is pretty magical place. And I'm, very fortunate to be able to have that.
And is it a place where you have your own private surf break too?
Yeah, pretty much. Of course, the ocean is public to anybody, but getting to the little private spots that we have over there is definitely less than 5 people out.
Yeah, so it's like you have to know to be able to go out there. It's not like these tourists
100%.
that are going from the golf course are like, oh, we've also heard of this surf break.
Yeah, no, it's kept secret, and yeah, we like to keep it that way.
And is it like place where you need machetes to get through like bush and stuff like that?
No, nothing like that. I mean, definitely back in the day, but we have little dirt roads and everything, the gates and stuff that we're able to go through.
Is this on your dad's side, this land?
Yeah, it is.
So your dad grew up with this private surf break, which probably explains why, because your dad's life, he was like a surfer as well. Like that was like his thing.
Yeah, my dad, he didn't grow up on that property, but they grew up going to the property.
And his whole life was surfing, right? Like where you grew up with a skateboarding spin, like he was a pro surfer, right?
Yeah. So he grew up surfing. He was competitive. He surfed against Slater and Sonny Garcia and everybody like that in his time. And when I was born, he actually got me into surfing first. And I mean, growing up in Hawaii, that's kind of an automatic when you just are in the ocean all the time. But at a super young age, I wasn't really into it as much as he'd kind of hoped. But the second best thing was skateboarding, you know? So introduced me to skateboarding when I was 6 or 7 years old, and I just fell in love with it. But it wasn't until probably about 9 or 10 years old that I fell in love with surfing again as well.
And when you say your dad competed against all these heavy names in the surf world and just where you grew up, it makes me think of North Shore, the movie, which I'm sure you have had to have seen. Was your dad in the movie and knows everybody in the movie?
That's super funny you say that. He tried out for it. He never got any parts in the movie, but we know everybody in that movie. Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Is it almost funny to you? Because that's like the parody of what life is there.
It really is. Honestly, it's pretty funny how it is like a parody of life in Hawaii, but it's also at the same time, there's so many things that are like pretty relevant or pretty like accurate, you know, especially in the 80s and stuff too.
So your dad, he's this pro surfer. I think your mom's Tahitian. Does your dad go on a trip to Tahiti, meet your mom, and then that's how that happens?
Actually, my dad is Hawaiian and Tahitian. My mom is Filipino and white.
Okay.
So my dad's parents, that's how they met. Was my grandma on his side was Tahitian, lived in Tahiti, born and raised. And then my dad's dad was from Hawaii. And he would go on business trips and go out to Tahiti all the time. And that's where he met my grandma. And then when they got together, she moved to Hawaii with him. And then that's where my dad's generation was born. But yeah, my dad goes out to Tahiti and we go and visit family over there all the time as well.
So if your mom is not full Hawaiian, does that make you like a half Hawaiian? And does that ever cause a problem for you growing up? Because I feel like Hawaiians, like they really like real Hawaiians.
Yeah, I mean, I'm Hawaiian and Tahitian. So when you think about like the Hawaiian lineage and like the bloodlines and everything, it's pretty difficult to find anybody with a lot of Hawaiian blood in them nowadays. It never really was a problem for me, but having any Hawaiian blood is pretty powerful in Hawaii, to be honest.
I mean, like if you had white kids in your high school, did they get their asses kicked because they were white kids in your high school?
I think that was a little bit before my generation. So I never really got to experience that side. There definitely is some racial shit, like stuff about haoles and white people in Hawaii, but it's not as regulated as it was probably in my dad's generation.
Speaking to that, and this could be more in your dad's generation too, but I always ask Hawaiian people some similar questions because I think it's kind of interesting. But you're a super nice kid who understands tradition, respect, earned things. I'm sure your dad brought you up in that respect because he's a lifetime surfer. So when somebody does something wrong and you see it, you're not going to be the person that puts them in their place. But people do that in Hawaii. And what's the most locals only shit that you've ever seen in the water or on the beach with your own eyes?
Oh my gosh. I've seen a lot of locals only shit, especially just in the beaches and just like in the water and everything like that. I mean, I've seen people, in Hawaii too, one thing that's big is like, growing up, there was never like gun violence and stuff like that. I mean, nowadays it's pretty gnarly, but definitely not in Hawaii. You know, it's, you fight it out. You like, quote unquote, like men.
Yeah, totally.
And yeah, they fight it out and they hug out after. I mean, I've seen some stuff where like people just drop in on each other on the waves and then all the boys that were backing him are all running down to the beach to fight this guy. And like, I've seen fights over the parking lots and fights over kind of anything. And yeah, I mean, just growing up in Hawaii, you see that all the time. But at the end of the day, it's just having respect for another person. And then a lot of times they fight it out and they hug after, which kind of just shows respect in a lot of ways.
And is that like exclusive to the beaches and surf, or does that extend to the skate parks too?
We've seen some stuff happen at the skate park as well. I mean, just snaking, taking long runs. And in my experience, I've seen at the skate parks is more of talking it out first, of being like, hey, just a heads up, be careful, you know? Like, you don't want to piss off the wrong crowd. So I've always seen, in my cases, just being very vocal of like expressing, hey, like, you don't want to piss anybody off. You don't want to do this. Just be very careful and mindful. And a lot of times everyone else is respectful for each other.
And how do people at skate parks kind of interact with the different kind of sports that go there? Not BMX, but when you have kids on scooters and blades with old school Hawaiian skateboarders, how does that mix?
Coming from Hawaii, everybody is extremely inclusive just because we do have respect for everybody in the sense. And for me as well, like, of course, there's the scooters and inlines that are almost frowned upon at skate parks. But at the end of the day, if you have respect for everyone else, we can't say anything. You know, if you're going there on your scooter, making noise, getting in everyone's way, snaking runs, long runs, stuff like that, then of course you're going to piss everyone else off. But at the end of the day, we're all sharing this love for board sports or riding on wheels, you know? So if you have respect for everyone else, there's not going to be any problems.
I love your attitude there. And then speaking of you getting into skate, because it's like your dad probably wanted you to be as big a surfer as he was, but he just kind of pointed you in a board sport direction. And then you found skateboarding and that became your thing. Is that when your dad's like, well, skateboarding's his thing and I want to be 100% behind him, so I'm going to do the whole skate park and do the skate shop thing? Would that happen right about then?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably about, I want to say 12 years old when we started Proper Ride Shop, which is our family-owned skate shop and skate park in Hawaii. And yeah, he pretty much just got 100% behind me. He was supporting me my whole skate career early on and honestly to this day. But a lot of parents noticed that, a lot of parents noticed that and knew that they had a lot of stuff going on with them. They see that my dad is at the skate park with me. They see my dad driving me and my friends around in vans, going to different skate parks and stuff like that. And they were like, wow, I want a piece of that. Like, would you take my kid? Can my kid hang out with you guys? And from there, my dad was like, wow, we should give back to like the skate community here and like teach all these kids and teach everybody the fundamentals and teach people about falling and skating and everything like that around it. So that's how Proper Ride Shop kind of came to be. And yeah, skateboarding is our entire lives.
When you think about it, skateboarding and surfing as well, because that's your dad's passion. I'm sure you both do that a shit ton. And growing up, like, when do you start competing in both of those sports?
I actually started competing like right off the bat. My first year on a skateboard, I started competing. I was lucky enough that my dad was super supportive in what I wanted to do. And he brought me out to California and took me to my first contest, which was King of the Groms, and from that contest, I knew I wanted to compete. I knew I wanted to be a professional skateboarder. And I was lucky enough that I had my parents to support the heck out of me, and for on the surfing side, it was a lot more convenient to compete in surfing just because we're on an island, so anytime that there was a local surf contest, I'd always make sure to beach entry and my dad would always be there with me.
And, in thinking of the culture of both surf and skate, that's a huge thing to kids especially. And growing up with, having a park and all of those different things, given you're on an island, so you're not going to get every skate team coming out and touring the island, but I'm sure some came here and there. But were you fully into the culture of skate and surf? And who were the athletes and the videos that really made an impact on you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, being on an island was definitely restricting in a lot of senses. I mean, not being able to go to every contest that I wanted to, or not being able to go to the demos and stuff like that. But there was a great amount of pros that would want to come to Hawaii. I mean, who doesn't want to go to Hawaii? So like a lot of teams and everything would always come out to Hawaii, and I'd always try my absolute best to be there when they do demos and stuff like that. I mean, I'll never forget, like Grant Taylor was a huge role model for me, and him and I think it was with the Volcom team, they came out a few times, and I'd always make sure to be there with them and like try to skate with them as much as I could, just because they're so inspirational for me growing up. And then there's also a lot of pros that come to Hawaii, like Christian Hosoi. He came all the time and he grew up there, so it was awesome to be able to skate with him when I could. But yeah, just being a part of the culture as much as I could was kind of a big part growing up.
It's pretty crazy that you skated with Christian Hosoi, because, I mean, that's a name that spans generations. And, he's done like the good, the bad, the ugly. He's very religious now at this point. Mm-hmm. I think I read something in your dad's maybe Instagram profile. Is your family religious as well?
Yes. We don't practice a lot. Like, we don't go to church and stuff like that, but we do believe in God. And I went to Christian schools growing up.
Yeah, because I think it was like his 15th thing that he wrote in his thing. It was like, I do this, and then there was like Jesus. And I was like, oh, well, at least it's 15 things down for me, because I like it when it's not the first thing that anybody's saying, and it wasn't the first thing that he was saying. There's also another thing I read about your dad, because about surfing, was, does he have some crazy picture of him like with the hammerhead shark?
Oh, yeah. There's a pretty viral video that went live recently of him. So he grew up surfing, and then hydrofoiling kind of came into the picture about, I don't know, like 6 years ago, and he just fell in love with that. So that's what he does a lot now, is the hydrofoil surfboards. And he was taking off on a big wave with his Insta360, and he went right past a big old hammerhead shark. And he posted on Instagram, it went viral. It was such a crazy clip.
I saw that the other day, which is wild. But we'll get back to you and your dad taking you different places and skating and all that. Who's the first sponsor that starts supporting you as a kid? Do you get more love because your dad owns a skate shop and can help you out?
I mean, my first sponsor was this kind of local company called Natural Concept. They helped me with skateboards at a young age. Like spun skateboards as well, and pocket pistols kind of were like my first few board sponsors that I got into. Since I didn't have the skate shop really until I was like 13 or 14, it wasn't that big of a difference. But as soon as the shop came into play, a lot of sponsors really wanted to be a part of it, just because they knew that I backed the culture and that I had my family behind me as well.
Yeah, and they just knew that, like, you have this shop, you're only going to get better, you're already the influencer in the whole community, and I mean, there's just so many different reasons to get involved with you at that point. And when you're trying to get bigger at that point in life, in your teen years, The Olympics aren't around at that point. Is it all like, hey, one day I'll go to California as much as I can and I want to eventually be in the Dew Tour and be in the X Games? Was that like the big motivator?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, all growing up, that's all I watched on like my freaking first generation iPods that had like the screens on them. I had like all the X Games and all those old videos downloaded on it. Like all I wanted to do was compete. All I wanted to do was be in the X Games, do tours, anything that I could be a part of. And I even have like an interview when I think I was like 11 years old or something, that was like, I know that one day it's going to be in the Olympics. I want to be there. No matter what, I want to be there. And it's kind of a crazy dream come true that I was able to compete in the Olympics.
Yeah, so you had the vision early on that it might be in the Olympics, but that's still like 6 years out from when they announce it. And for you, when you're on an island, I mean, if you were a surfer, you would be in the right place. Like everything would line up for you to be a pro surfer. But the skateboard industry is not where you are. I mean, you don't think of you think of Christian Hosoi, right? Like that's the pro skater that you think of with Hawaii. And so is it you graduate high school and then you have to move right down to San Diego to be in the mix and be able to do all the events?
That's like pretty much the route that you have to take. And that's exactly what I did. I mean, after high school, I wasn't really sure about, like, I knew I wanted to be a skateboarder. I knew I wanted to compete, but invites were super hard to come by. You know, I'd get invited to one X Games, but not the next one. And everything was just kind of unsure at that point. And it was actually the summer that I did graduate high school is when all the invites started coming through. I won an X Games qualifier. I got second in the Dew Tour, and that kind of just got the ball rolling for Park Series and everything like that, which kind of pushed me to be like, all right, like this is what I'm going to do. This is really, I'm going to chase this. I'm not going to go to school. I'm going to come move out to California and just be around skateboarding, be around the skate parks and push for all these contests.
It's time for my first sponsor break. And I'm going to start with longtime sponsor Elan Skis. And if you haven't skied on an award-winning ripstick yet, you're missing out on something that ski brands have long said wasn't an option. A lightweight ski that powers through anything and truly rips. It's game-changing. And Elan, while they've been around for 80 years, have been changing the game of modern skiing by doing things like adding side cut to straight skis with the Elan SCX, which changed the whole industry. They're building skis by skiers in a place with ski culture in the Slovenian Alps. And most importantly, they're supporting local shops. When the competition goes and starts selling direct, Elan sticks by their retailers who have been by them since the beginning. Elan is just built differently, and they innovate with a purpose, and that's to make your on-snow experience better, easier, and more fun. It's this approach that brought you the Ripstick and all of their award-winning skis. And when you're in the market for a new pair, visit an Elan retailer, demo a pair of their skis, and you'll know why Elan has built a cult following here in the States. To find out more about all the skis or to find an Elan dealer, head on over to elanskis.com. So when you get to California, how long is it from the time that you get there till the time that you find out that skateboarding is going to be in the Olympics? Is it pretty soon after?
Yeah, I mean, I moved out to California in 2018, and the end of 2018 is when they had their first Olympic sanctioned event.
Okay, so you had a big contest before that. So 2016, 2017, you had already had a breakout contest at like the Vans pool party, I feel like. I think you got third place there. Tom Schar won that. And when you're on a podium with Tom Schar, 18 years old, like, I mean, given he was still a really huge name back then, even though he's early on in his career. And I mean, now he's the best person that's dropped in a bowl, I feel like, ever almost. But back then, it's got to be crazy to stand on a podium with that kid, right? Like, it's like, holy shit, Hawaiian kid did well.
I mean, yeah, of course. It's definitely, I mean, I grew up competing. I grew up coming out to California any chance I could to compete against these guys and try to make a name for myself. So kind of 2016, 2017 was really, all right, this is my chance to really push for it, you know? So
2018 is when you move out there, and that's when you find out that it's going to be in the Olympics. How do you find out officially? And is that a big celebration?
When I made the team or when they...
No. When you just found out that it was actually going to be in the Olympics, because before you can make the team, it's got to be a sport.
Yeah. So it was definitely something really insane that we all kind of heard about through just everything. Everybody's talking about it. Leading up to it becoming a sport, everyone's like, I think it is. It might be this year, next time.
And everybody's got an opinion, right? Like, it's good for skateboarding, it's bad.
Yeah, and everyone's got an opinion. So for me, all I wanted to do was know if it was going to be a sport in the Olympics, and that's all I wanted to do. And all I wanted to be is be there, be a part of it. So when they announced it, there was so many different emotions happening with me of like, this is amazing and exciting, but also just it added fuel to my fire of like wanting to win any contest that gets thrown at me and make sure that I was a part of the team.
Does it totally change your approach? Like you go from this kid who's just a skateboarder who loves it to like, okay, now I have to be up at 8 a.m. and I've got to do these things. Does it change the way you look at skateboarding?
It did. It started to change the way I looked at skateboarding, and there was pros and cons to that. It started making me think more of like an athlete, which is great. But then I started to forget about why I love skateboarding, So it wasn't until around 2019 when I won the world championships and like leading into like COVID time that I really like sat down and had to be like, hey, you love skateboarding no matter what. If you can be at the Olympics and be a part of skateboarding history, that's the best thing that could happen. It wasn't all about winning. It wasn't all about trying to get gold or anything like that. It was just skateboarding is amazing. It's taken me this far. Let's see how much farther it can take me.
Well, I mean, I was going to ask you about this later, but I mean, you kind of mentioned it here is that leading up to that 2019 year, because that's like your breakout best year of your career. But leading up to that, you probably put a lot more pressure on yourself. Like, I've got to do this because I have to make the Olympics and this and this, and it changes you for a little bit. And when you put that pressure on you, you go to a contest and maybe you're not your relaxed aloha, what up, bro self, and and that stresses you out a little bit. You don't do as well. So I was going to say, when 2019 rolls around, what changes in you? Because I was going to think it was confidence or it was this or it was that. It was just you not putting pressure on yourself and you saying, hey, just be happy to be there, enjoy skateboarding, and hopefully it works out.
100%. I mean, it kind of came down to the practices. The practice is where all the pressure came through me. And I was like, okay, I have to learn these tricks. These are the tricks I have to do in the contest. I have to focus just on landing these specific tricks. And when your brain is doing that and telling you like, these are the tricks you have to do, you forget about all the fun stuff that you loved about skateboarding. All you're doing is falling. All you're doing is fucking not being able to do the tricks that you quote unquote have to do. You forget that like, hey, I love skateboarding because of the flow. I love skateboarding because of learning tricks that I want to learn. So going into those practices, I just had to remind myself like, hey, why are you here? So a lot of those practices, especially before the Olympics and before those big contests, I would make sure to have 2 sessions during the day. One session would be strictly for learning the tricks that I had to learn, working on runs, keeping my stamina up. And then the second session of the day was usually just to go have fun, go to a local skate park. Don't have to put on my pads and my helmet and everything and buckle down. Just go and have fun and skate. And that's what kept my balance high.
And so you start off that summer with a huge win at the Boise X Games qualifier. And was that the one that got you in your first X Games, or had you been to an X Games before that?
That was the one that got me into my first, real X Games. Yeah, that's true, yeah.
So that has to be a shit your pants moment. Like, holy crap, I finally made the X Games, and you win the contest. Wins don't come very often in the world of skateboarding where there's so much talent there. And to get that win, how huge was that for you?
Oh, that was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. And just like, I remember that year I broke my board in the end of the contest as well. Like I did this big kickflip indie and like missed the grab, so I threw it underneath my butt and like rode out on my butt on the skateboard, and it broke the board. Crowd went wild. That contest was just like an absolute just amazing event. Just the crowd was so fun. Like the way that the contest was ran was jam format, so it wasn't super strict lines, and just everybody that was in the contest was all my friends that I competed with all growing up. So that was just like an amazing event to just come in and like have fun and come out on top too.
And then you get your spot in the first X Games, and then when they come around, how crazy is that for you, being on that big a stage for the first time? Because pre-Olympics, like, there's nothing bigger than the X Games, and you're finally there.
Yeah, funny story. During practice of that contest, my first X Games, I tore my AC joint in practice a day before. But like you said, it was an amazing event that I did not want to miss. I've been dreaming about it my whole life. I ended up getting a shot of Marcaine and lidocaine into my shoulder right before the event just so that I could skate in it.
When you do that, is it through the X Games that you're able to get pain-killing injections? Do you have to go to a doctor? How does that all happen?
Yeah, with that, it was through a doctor at the X Games. Like the Olympics is very different with drug testing and stuff like that. But with X Games, they were able to clear me to get these little numbing injections into my shoulder so that I could skate it. Afterwards was pain, let me tell you that. But just to be able to skate in the X Games was a dream come true, and I could not miss that for the world.
And I think that might have been your best finish at X. I think you got sixth in that first X Games. And when you think about X Games in general, I think you've done like 3 or 4 of them. And you're a Hawaiian kid who seems super nice. I don't know if you have that, like, I'm going to slit your throat, I want to beat you kind of mentality of like a supreme competitor type person. Like, when you get 6th place, are you just stoked to have skated and gotten 6th place? Or are you someone who's like, God, I wish I would have gotten first?
I mean, it goes both ways. Growing up, all I wanted to do was win. You know, like I have that competitive mindset of like, I just want to win. I just want to win. And if I didn't, I'd be extremely bummed. All I want to do is get back to the skate park and work my ass off to make sure that I do win. But that was one thing that my dad did teach me, is that it's okay to lose. You know, like, of course you want to win and you're going to do anything you can to win, but you're not going to beat yourself up about it, because that's skateboarding. You know, it's a sport that I chose. It's a sport that is very subjective in a sense where the judges could love the way that you skated that day. You could have landed the run that you dreamed of, or you could have fallen on the easiest trick of the run. You know, it kind of goes day by day, and falling and losing contests is just a learning lesson that you have to live with. There's nothing you can do to change that.
All right, well, the next contest up, that's World Championships. That's the biggest win I think you had in your entire career when you kind of put your resume up there. You're the 2019 World Champion. But I think the bigger deal than that is it was one of the first qualifying events for the Olympics, or it was a big qualifying event for the Olympics. So it's one of those where everybody's trying to make their national team. And for the U.S., it's, 3 spots that are open for like 20 people trying to get them?
Yeah, more like 40. But that 2019 year was a big year for me. Leading into it, 2018 was the first Olympic sanctioned contest, and that was the World Championship as well in China. And I ended up getting second in that one.
Okay.
And I got second in the World Championship in 2018. And that's kind of like a big thing for me, because I was like, okay, I belong here. You know, I belong with all you guys. I belong here. I'm going to try my best to make the team. Going into 2019, there was 3 big events. The first one, it was a Dew Tour. The first one, I didn't make a podium at the Dew Tour that year. I made the finals, but I think I fell and got like 8th or something like that. I was bummed, but I knew that it wasn't over yet. I went to China, which was the next event. I ended up winning that one. And then the World Championship was after that, and I ended up winning that one as well. So 2019 was a huge year for me, and it pretty much just kind of set the standard for myself, knowing that I did belong there and that all I wanted to do was make the team. All I wanted to do was skate in the Olympics.
Yeah, you were on fire. And I feel like, was the 2019 year also the World Championship year, where Shawn White was trying to make a push to try to make the skateboard team as well? And so there's like all of this like spotlight on him, which probably takes pressure off of everybody else as well.
Yeah, I grew very close with Shawn that year, just skating with him a bunch. And he's somebody that is very hard on himself as well. He went into that World Championship contest, hadn't skated a contest in, I think, like 10 years or something prior to that. And he came in, and I think he got like 12th or 13th, which made the semifinal. And he was like so hard on himself. But I was like, dude, you hadn't skated a contest in how long? You're the only one out here doing the tricks that you're doing. And you made a semifinal. I don't want to say anything, but I think if he would have kept going, you never know if he would have made the Olympics or not. But he was up there with everybody else.
I mean, it was just wild that 20 years after everybody started to know him for snowboarding, because everybody knew about him in like 2002 or something, he's still competing on like trying to make an Olympic level in skateboarding, which is just absolutely crazy.
I mean, dude, he's the only guy I know that has X Games gold medals for snowboarding and skateboarding.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane the talent that guy has.
Dude.
But when you think about making that Olympic team, so 3 people make the team, you're one of them. Who doesn't make the team? Because there's so many people probably on the bubble that are huge names that don't make the Olympics, that there you go, you did.
I mean, it all comes down to the points that you get. And I was lucky enough in 2019 to have accumulated all the points that I did from winning the World Championships, winning the event in China, and then also the eighth place finish at Dew Tour. I don't know if it was sixth or eighth. I don't remember, but the finish in Dew Tour, which gave me all the points that I had. So if you didn't make the points, you didn't make the cut.
All right. What really sucks is when you make the Olympic team, you're at the height of your snowboarding right there. Like, you're coming off 2 world championships where you're on the podium both the years, you win 1, 2 events where you win the last 2, and then it's like you are on absolute fire and you should be coming into the next season, that fire continuing. You go into the Olympics, you take home your gold medal, and you're like, wow, that was 3 years of just consistency right there. But unfortunately, the whole world shuts down and your Olympics is pushed back a year. Do you look at that as that kind of screwing with your career a bit?
I mean, you can look at it that way.
Because you were on fire, right? And then there was a long break.
Yeah, I mean, definitely in a sense, it was a crazy time to just kind of hang everything up and be like, so I can't go to the skate park right now. I have to stay at home. I can't go practice. I can't do anything. But on the other spectrum of it, it was nice to kind of just relax a little bit. Just because there were so many contests happening back to back to back. Everything was going strong. And I mean, that's kind of the only way we can look at it. We could look at it in a negative sense of like, yeah, we had to take a break and it put my fire out. But I mean, we all kind of needed a little bit of a break before a big Olympic event. So it was a crazy time for sure, but I don't want to look at it as anything negative.
Well, let's look at it. I mean, even before, something I didn't bring up and I usually bring up way before this point is like, who are the brands that are sponsoring you as a skateboarder? Like when you're in the height of your skateboard career in the Olympics and everything like that, like who are the brands that are paying you to ride a skateboard?
At that time, I had Polo, Ralph Lauren. I had Vitamin Water. Those are my like big ones. Heart Supply was a big sponsor of mine at the time. S1 helmets. Yeah, a lot of really big brand deals that were helping me out at that time.
So what's weird about that is you're not even part of the skateboard industry in terms of sponsorship stuff. It's like you're a park skater, which is fine. But I mean, I've seen your videos. You're not just a park skater. You skate some gnarly street stuff as well. But based on like the sponsor list that you have, I'm guessing that like the core gnarly street skaters aren't looking at the Vitamin Water Polo guy that's, skating in the Olympics as the core street skater. Is that a thing where since you're more of a park skater, you're not going to get any of the street cred that really a lot of other people get?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely always going to be controversy between the street and the parks and stuff like that, and like how the core lords of street skating is more gnarly or whatnot. But I think, especially with the Olympics and like household names like Tom and Tony Hawk, they help give respect to the park skateboarding community. And like, I think that with the Olympics and being part of a team, a USA team, stuff like that, it definitely opened the doors more to acceptance in a lot of ways. And like, we get along very well now.
But I mean, it's 2 different worlds. Like, you're usually not going on skate tours or doing stuff like that. You're just every weekend at a different contest.
Yeah, a lot of it was just contest. But that was just the career path that I decided to choose, was a lot of contests and less video part style.
It's time for my second round of sponsors, and my final sponsor this round is Outdoor Research. And while I have long loved OR because they make the best, most waterproof, warmest outerwear in the world that's engineered and tested right here in the miserable conditions that the Pacific Northwest can deliver, that's just what OR makes in the winter. And while everyone out there knows that OR makes the best lightweight hiking pants ever built, the men's and women's Freewheel mountain bike collection, a collection of high-performance bike apparel, is setting the standard for functional and durable mountain bike gear. Every detail has been thought of, so you don't have to think about the fit of your gear. You can focus on the terrain and getting yourself into your flow state. It's time to return to dirt, and OR has the trail-ready gear to get you out there in comfort and style. To upgrade your fit, head on over to OutdoorResearch.com and check out the Freewheel collection. Those are my sponsors. Now let's jump back into the podcast. When you think about contests, one of the cool things I would think is leaving with a big oversized check. What's the biggest check you've ever won?
I think it was, one of the Olympic sanctioned events was like 30 grand for first place, which was amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing because I would hope that some of your sponsors do some matching or something like that so that 30 grand grows into other things. But I didn't even get to we talked about the Olympics a little bit, but when you go back to the Olympics and that whole experience, I mean, you start with like an Olympic fitting and then they give you thousands of dollars worth of gear and then they fly you places. And like, what's your whole experience like?
That was amazing. I mean, it definitely was around COVID time, so I think we didn't get a lot of the opportunities that a normal Olympic would, but it was an amazing event. It was an amazing opportunity. It was such a cool trip. We got decked out in all the Ralph Lauren gear, the Nike stuff. We got to go and just kind of be around the other Olympians that I've like looked up to my whole life and like watched other sports. And that was honestly just like the coolest thing, to be in the village with nobody else except these amazing athletes, you know? And then also to think about like, hey, we're skateboarders. What are we doing here? And then like realizing that, hey, we belong here. This is a sport too.
Did you get to skate any of the stuff like in the Olympic Village, or did people stop you?
We got to skate a couple of like the ledges and stuff like that. Nobody ever stopped us though. It was pretty cool.
That's nice to hear. Well, I think at the Olympics you don't do as well as maybe you want to, but I think you might have been banged up. What was your whole Olympic story competition-wise?
Oh man, I went into it again. It was another thing of just skateboarding is a gnarly sport. You're always getting injured. You're always coming off of something. But leading up to the Olympics was actually pretty gnarly for me. I sprained my lateral meniscus and my ACL and also the ATFL in my ankle going into it. So I was just on the physical therapy grind for a long time leading up to it. But again, it's the Olympics. There's no way in hell I am not going to skate in it, you know? I don't care if I'm like in crutches or a wheelchair, I'm dropping in on that bull for my Olympic run, you know? But yeah, I didn't do as well as I wanted to. It was just what skateboarding is, you know? It's either your day or it's not your day. So I was lucky enough to be there in the first place, and I wouldn't take anything back.
Well, that's where I would complain about the 2020 thing. If it was a year earlier, you might have been more healthy and it might have been a different Olympic experience, but it wasn't. It doesn't matter. That's how life rolls. After the Olympics, is there like a drive to keep competing, or is it more like now I just want to do shit for myself?
There definitely was a drive to want to keep competing. I went for the 2024 Olympic team as well. I went to Dubai and we went to a bunch of different events for that one as well. I ended up not being able to make the 2024 team, but still wanted to be a part of it. So NBC and Team USA actually hired me to come out and create content with them in the Olympics and experience the whole Paris Olympics without the pressure of competing, which was an insane opportunity.
Did you get to hang with Snoop Dogg at all?
I wish. I didn't get to hang out with Snoop Dogg, but I caught a selfie with him while he was like in passing. I kept trying to see if I could get in with him, but his security team was very strict.
But outside of Snoop, you had a ton of access and you were able to go talk to a ton of different athletes just with your credential and everything that NBC wanted you to do?
Yeah, it was amazing. We had a full media credential, so we could get into any of the events that I wanted to do. So that was an awesome experience, especially coming from the 2020 Olympics where we couldn't do anything. We had to stay in the village when we're not at the skate park, and a lot of people wanted to stay away from each other just because of COVID. So being able to go experience that side of the Olympics and go to watch any of the sports. Actually, my first basketball game I ever saw in person was the finals at the Olympics, which was insane. We got to go watch equestrian, got to go to the beach volleyball matches, and everything like that was just like such an amazing experience. And I have like a big photography background, and I love documenting video, photo, stuff like that. So being there, being able to document it, being able to like still work and be a part of the Olympics and be a part of Team USA was definitely an amazing opportunity.
Oh, it's pretty rad. Well, that's really the basis of the podcast. I end every podcast with something that I call inappropriate questions.
Uh-oh.
Normally, I would get someone that you know to ask 3 questions, and they can be anything. But since I don't know anybody that knows you, unfortunately, I wasn't able to get one of your friends to ask you a question or 3 questions, but you don't care. You didn't even know about the segment anyway. The listeners may care, and if you do, I'm sorry about that. It's all right. I'm going to come up with 3 inappropriate questions myself,
All right.
and then I'll find some inappropriate stuff to put into the podcast from HESTIVAL, and let's see where I'm going to go with my first inappropriate question. So let's see. I got you on this podcast through MJ at HEST, and she thinks the world of you.
She's awesome.
Yeah. So she's like, you should talk to Heimana. And I was like, who? And she was like, Olympic skateboarder, Heimana Reynolds. You should go talk to him. And I was like, whoa, sorry. So when she said that, I was expecting a polo wearing, padded up kind of robot. And then I Googled you, and for sure you were wearing some polo, and you seemed to have a helmet on here and there. But then I'd see the gnarly street side of your skating as well. Then I was like thinking to myself, dude, well, I don't really appreciate people wearing helmets in photos and videos because I don't think it looks as cool, although I understand people should wear it. The way that you skate and the way that you've hit your head so many times, I was like, that guy should wear a helmet all the time. Do you ever worry about CTE?
What is that?
Dude, don't worry about it. It is a thing. It's CTE. I don't think I said it clearly. It is like something where when you bang your head very hard, like you do a bunch, like pro football players, and it does something to your brain where you get crazy, and then...
Oh, man.
You don't know this. Don't Google CTE.
I mean, I like to wear my helmet when I skate big things like mega ramps and vert ramps and stuff like that. It is a scary thing to think about with skateboarding and just like kind of any action sports that you do is helmets are important. So I will push helmets among the youngsters in the next generation. I always will back people that want to wear helmets. But for me, it's the comfortability aspect of it, you know, and also trying to stay core to the sport of skateboarding, you know, and it is a scary thing to think about. I try not to think about head injuries too much, but yeah, it happens. We signed up to do a gnarly action sports, and it's all part of the game.
Well, if you don't know what the letter CTE means, it means you're not thinking about it, and that's great. Keep doing what you're doing. Wear the helmet for the big stuff. I used to work with rollerbladers a lot because that's kind of I started out in the whole rollerblade world, worked my way to ski and snowboard. But with bladers, like on the pro level, they'd be like, Mike, if I wear a helmet, that means I can hit my head. And if I have knee pads on, then I can fall to my knees. So I can't wear any pads, so then I can't fall. Is that your mentality as well?
That is a good mentality to think about. I mean, growing up, definitely, I was always like, oh, I'm not going to wear the knee pads because it's not cool, and I have to force myself to run out of things. Nowadays, I'm like, if I can wear knee pads on something big, I'm going to wear it because it's a lot easier to freaking slide out of something than it is to run out of a 12-foot vert ramp, you know?
Yeah, totally.
But, yeah, that's a good mentality to think about. I never thought about it that way.
And I would think skating vert and skating park are 2 different things if you're thinking about sliding out. You usually probably don't hit a quarter pipe and try to slide through the skate park on your knee pads.
No.
But anyway, let's go the next, and I think this is going to be our final inappropriate question. When I think about events, the most insane event that I see on the internet these days is Swamp Fest. Have you seen any footage around that whole thing?
Oh, yeah. I've definitely seen a lot of footage, but I've never been personally.
Have you ever been to anything close to anything like that?
Not really. I feel like Swamp Fest is its own monster.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that go to it. I know a lot of good stories. I know a lot of crazy stories. I've never personally experienced it, but I've always wanted to go just to at least experience it one time. But it looks like an insane event, and it looks like great vibes mostly.
Then what is the wildest event that you've been to? Nothing's going to compare to that, obviously. But is there anything close?
Not in that sense. I don't really go out that much or go to like crazy big gnarly events.
Do you drink beer or drink at all?
Not really.
Okay.
A beer every now and again, but not like religiously, you know, or like normally. But an event that just stands out in my mind that was a really cool one was actually Shawn White's event back in 2017. It was called Aaron Style.
Oh, yeah.
Where it was snowboard and skateboard, but also they had like EDM kind of festival during it as well, which I thought was super freaking cool. Just like the whole vibe and just skate and snow and all in downtown LA and also like concert vibes. So that was a really cool event that I will never forget.
Nice. Well, that's Inappropriate Questions. That's our podcast. I want to thank you for making some time. Your career has been not scripted, but it was almost like you were pointed in the board sports direction and you were supported as much as you possibly could be supported. You had the talent, you had the work ethic, you had your dad's guidance. I'm sure your mom played a big part in there too, but I didn't do that much research around her. But it was like the way that you were brought up, you were no skate punk at all. It was all like aloha, love, surf dude. Let's treat it all with respect. And there's not as much of that in the skateboard world as there is everywhere else, although it seems like in the surf world there's a lot of fighting in the water, but they hug it out at the end, so there's that aloha part at the end. So I want to thank you for giving us that tidbit, thank you for telling us your story, and thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
So that was time with Heimana, and what a great interview that guy was. So nice and open to talking about anything, and it was refreshing because I had no idea what I would get. Same thing with HESTIVAL. While I knew it was going to be fun, it exceeded my expectations. And if you want some kick-ass music in an intimate, unique venue and go camping with 500 other people who also love to camp, dance, and party, go to HESTIVAL. It's awesome. Thank you, HEST crew. And special thanks to Elijah's cousin Will's friend Ian, who was there to witness a moment of awesomeness when this 50 or 60-year-old woman came up to me and was mean to me for at least 10 minutes for telling me that I was too loud on the microphone, and she was adamant that I was too loud and that I was doing it wrong, and I was as polite as I could and I killed her with kindness, but she was very, very angry until she realized that she was going to miss her shuttle, and I asked her, hey, didn't you hear me say that if you don't head to the parking lot right now, you're going to miss your shuttle home, and if you snooze, you lose? And I don't know if she missed her shuttle or not, but I sure had my fingers crossed that she did. No, I didn't, because then someone would have had to take her home, and that would have been a pain in the ass. But that whole deal was really funny. Ian, I think I remembered your name for the first time right there. So thank you for being there. Thank you to all of you for listening. Thank you to the HEST crew for creating a great weekend. And thank you to my sponsors, Elan Skis and Outdoor Research. Oh yeah, and the one part that I haven't tied all together was from the intro, when that little rock hit my windshield, and I told Keaton all about the windshield cracking. Well, when we got back to Die Cut Stickers to pick up my car, sure as shit, I had like an 8-inch crack in my windshield, so that sucks, but I'll have one of those people at Jiffy Lube put some kind of material on it, and hopefully it won't spread anymore. Sucks for me, but whatever. At this point, I need to get this podcast posted. I need to get some sleep because it has been a long weekend and tomorrow is going to come early and it is going to suck for me as well. So what else do I have to say? I think I thanked my sponsors. I thanked all the people at HEST. Have a great week, everyone.